Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is going to be Unit 2 of the Logic Pro X curriculum. We're going to be jumping off of Unit 1, which is in a previous video. I can link it if you're interested. But we're going to kind of be covering some more common production and mixing and organizing techniques within Logic. We should basically start to get a better handle on like signal flow and songwriting techniques and like home studio setups and like a bunch of different things in that kind of realm. We're going to go over the audio effects window. We're going to go over grouping and bussing and summing and aux routing, and we're going to go over flexing audio files. We're going to do some sampling of audio files, and then we'll talk about kind of maybe some gain staging and stuff like that, and we'll go over kind of a song structure ideas, horizontal and vertical. We'll go over automation on each individual track or on a group of tracks, stuff like that, and you know, hopefully if you watched the first video, there should be kind of a direct continuation of all of those principles that we covered there. And if there's anything that you're still confused about, you know, either find the section that I do cover it on, or reach out, draw me a comment or something, so that I can cover it, whatever you're looking for. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the first section here, I wanted to get into some songwriting approaches, and Logic gives you plenty of tools to kind of make that happen. The only things that I would kind of nail down before you start writing and recording all of your different songs or song materials and content and stuff like that is probably your tempo. So the tempo, again, is how fast, you know, the metronome is for when you're recording. And I'm turning the metronome off with K, by the way, on and off. So once you get into playing the metronome, basically have to decide early on whether or not you want to keep that speed, because if you start working with audio files, it's a lot more difficult than MIDI to adjust them. You know, there is flex, which we'll get into later, which is this tool up here, Command F to get into the flex. But you usually want to nail down your tempo as soon as possible. The next kind of two major brackets for songwriting is either horizontal integration or like vertical integration. So what I mean by that, horizontal means that we're writing basically from left to right, from beginning to end in the song. And if I change this to a custom display, you can actually see we're like, you know, 8 seconds through the song at this speed. And if we go all the way to the end of your song, say it's 2.5 minutes long, will be somewhere around, you know, the 65 measure marker at 104 beats PM. So if we change the tempo to something slower or something faster, now a 65 measure song is only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. And if it gets faster, obviously it takes less time. So basically, if you have been writing a certain amount of material, you have an intro, a verse, a chorus, a hook, a bridge, a chorus, whatever you have going on, I'm going to press G for markers here, change this to configure global tracks, turn off everything except for markers, and then make that window a little bigger. So now I can add markers anywhere down the line. I know that the first 8 bars are going to be, you know, the verse. So I'm just choosing the playhead on where I want to cut it, choosing the marker and hitting Command T to separate. And now I can go ahead, double click and rename each of these sections. So usually they're 8 bars long, unless you're, you know, hiatus coyote and you're doing some really crazy math stunts with your songwriting. That's a typical kind of pop progression. So verse, chorus, you know, bridge, whatever, I'm misspelling things, but you get the gist. So by the end of my song, I know it's 65 measures in total, and I know that that's going to be 2 minutes long. So now it's up to me if I want to make it slower to make it last longer, if I want to add more sections at the end, you know. And when it comes to layering and kind of figuring all your tracks out, all of your individual tracks, that is, these guys, you should find a way to basically use the horizontal scope of things to kind of predict how your project is going to lay out. So that's horizontal. And the other one is vertical. So vertical is basically what I'm doing now, which is layering. So I know that for the first 8 bars, I could cycle my loop on and off, by the way, with C to target the first 8 bars, and I can draw a new one up here if I chose to do so. For the first 8 bars, I know that this is going to be in whatever, my intro. And I know that for my intro, I have instrument A, instrument B, instrument C, a couple vocal tracks, maybe a sample, maybe some atmospheric stuff. But basically, I'm going to want to, atmosphere, chords, vocal. I'm kind of designating these vertically within that 8-measure section, because I know that my vertical kind of approach is going to be built up off of all these different instruments. So once I have all those instruments down, on this first 8 bars, I can kind of move them around, cut and paste, and reformat them and stuff, like moving horizontally. But it's not until you kind of have a bunch of things in one block of time that it starts to kind of develop into a kind of a full structure. And then in between horizontal and vertical is probably where you're going to spend most of your time, which is like, oh, maybe I want to use this vocal section at the beginning here at the end of the song or something. So then you would move that layer down horizontally. Or maybe I want to use this bass patch to duplicate it for the strings, and you'd move that bass patch down vertically to layer those sounds. So those are the two kind of main songwriting approaches in Logic, and then I'll cover some other kind of off the ground material to get you started.